Ever wonder why France has such a strong presence in Africa, especially the Sahel region? Former French President Jacques Chirac famously said that France would become a third-world country if Africa didn't exist. Given the massive losses incurred by French enterprises that were evicted from Burkina Faso, Niger, and Mali, it seems to be happening right now. It was recently revealed that Air France lost 65 million euros in total as a result of being kicked out of the Sahel. Given how tragic the loss has been, Air France wishes to return to the Sahel. Ibrahim Traoré of Burkina Faso and other military leaders in Mali and Niger, however, will not permit it to happen. What damages is France incurring as a result of its frantic attempts to return to Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger right away? To find out more, watch this video. For many years, Africa was the backbone of France's economy, allowing it to maintain its geopolitical influence and drain wealth from the continent. However, with the arrival of revolutionary military leaders, Burkina Faso, Niger, and Mali have seen radical transformations. They cause a huge shock that has rocked France and French companies, signaling a sea change for the nation. French troops, companies, and political influence have been removed from Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso, ending France's economic dominance in the region. The most obvious illustration of this collapse is the financial collapse that Air France has gone through since being forced to depart the Sahel. Over 65 million euros have been lost by the airline. For Air France, the Sahel was more than just a place to visit. The monopoly was extremely profitable. An astounding 500 million CFA francs a day were carried in from Mali by the airplane, with 430 million in Niger and 390 million in Burkina Faso. Moreover, 2 million euros are earned every day. This level of profit showed how much the Sahel is essential to France's economic survival. And we're just talking about one of hundreds of companies. However, when military-led governments arose in these nations and resolutely opposed French dominance, Air France lost one of its most lucrative revenue streams. Due to the financial catastrophe, the airlines are working feverishly to regain access to the region. However, the new governments have made it clear that unchecked French exploitation is no longer an option. The revolutionary leaders of Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger represent a new era of African governance, one that values sovereignty above submission. These leaders have taken bold actions to free their countries from France's economic and military hegemony. This is because they understand that France has leverage because of its financial gains from Africa. If these are discontinued, France will no longer receive the financial assistance it currently receives from other nations. You should know that France's success was largely dependent on resources it did not truly own, even though it has a long history of being regarded as having industrial and economic strength. Despite having few or no significant deposits of these minerals, France was a major exporter of gold, uranium, and other important minerals for many years. These resources weren't French. Their origins were in Africa. France profited from reclaiming African nations from its former colonies and rebranding them as its own, even if these nations remained undeveloped. One of the most notable examples of this exploitation was gold. There are no major gold mines in France, but a large amount of the precious metal was shipped. The source has historically been West African nations like Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger, where French businesses controlled mining activities under fraudulent contracts. These agreements ensured that only a small percentage of the money generated went to African countries, even if the gold was processed in France and sold as a French commodity. Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni harshly chastised France over this on live television. France was so dependent on African wealth that its purported gold exports have all but disappeared as Sahel nations have reclaimed their resources and driven out French companies. The similar pattern applies to lithium, cobalt, uranium, and coltan, minerals required for batteries, electric vehicles, and contemporary technologies. France is a significant player in the high-tech industry, even though its reserves of these minerals are quite small.